We've got a strong WNBA slate here, and this is exactly the kind of board where matchup structure matters more than surface-level records. You've got one team that has the right style to force mistakes and run in transition, another that's trying to ride momentum after a short hot stretch, and a late game where style, pace, and physicality should decide everything. That gives us a really good setup to find value. So let's get straight into it and keep the focus on the teams, the trends, and the edges that matter. First up, Atlanta against Washington. Atlanta comes in as a road favorite, and even though they're carrying a 3-game losing streak, this is still the better team in the matchup. That's important because recent losses can hide the bigger picture. When you look deeper, Atlanta has the stronger structural profile in almost every major category that matters. They force mistakes, they run the floor, and they turn chaos into points. Washington has been playing decent basketball lately and comes in with 4 wins in their last 6, so this is not a spot to dismiss them completely. But the problem is that they're giving up too much in the exact areas Atlanta does best. If Washington gets sloppy, Atlanta is built to punish that immediately. The Dream are among the best teams in the league at scoring off turnovers and in transition, and Washington has been one of the worst teams at preventing those easy points over the last stretch. That is the first big edge here. Atlanta can create offense before Washington's defense gets set, and that is a major problem for the Mystics because that is not the type of game they want to play. Even if the game slows down, Atlanta still has the edge in the paint and on the glass. They've been more consistent turning second-chance opportunities into actual points, and they've been better at protecting the paint on the defensive end as well. That matters a lot in a game like this because Washington has been decent in the paint too, but not good enough to make up the gap elsewhere. Atlanta's numbers point to the better overall balance. They can beat you in transition, beat you off turnovers, and beat you with more efficient interior scoring. This also has trap game energy because Washington has been playing better than expected lately, and the line may not feel large enough to some people at first glance. But that's exactly why Atlanta is attractive here. The Dream already blew this team out earlier in June, and the same type of mismatch is still there. For me, my best pick is Atlanta to cover the spread in the over. Atlanta should be able to push tempo, Washington's turnover issues should help create extra possessions, and both teams have the kind of paint production that can build scoring quickly. If this game gets into the mid-80s for Washington, the total becomes very reachable. I also like Angel Reese over 14.5 points based on the consistency, the recent scoring run, and how well that matchup has gone before. The paint and rebounding environment here gives that type of angle a strong floor. Next up, Dallas against Connecticut. This is a very different style game, and honestly, this is one of the cleaner spots on the board. Connecticut has won 2 straight, which sounds good on the surface, but they're still just 4-15 overall. So while the recent results are better, the full season profile still tells the real story. They're not suddenly a stable team just because they got a couple of nice wins. Dallas, on the other hand, has the better roster structure and the kind of discipline that can take away what Connecticut wants to do. The Sun are at their best when they can force turnovers and turn those into easy transition points. That's their lane. The issue is that Dallas is very good at denying exactly that style. They protect the ball, they don't give away cheap possessions, and they limit points off turnovers at a high level. That's huge, because if Connecticut can't run, their half-court offense becomes much harder to trust. Dallas also has the edge on the perimeter, where Connecticut has struggled to contain shooting depth. That means the wings can stretch the floor and force Connecticut into uncomfortable defensive possessions again and again. This is the kind of matchup where a rested, frustrated Dallas team should be able to impose its style. They've had time to reset, they've got more talent, and they have the exact profile needed to neutralize the Suns' best pathway to success. My best pick is Dallas to cover the spread here. I think they should win this by double digits if they play to their strengths. I also lean under the total because Dallas protects the ball and Connecticut does not usually get the kind of easy points that would help push the pace. If Dallas controls the game the way it can, this becomes a half-court matchup and that helps the under. Now to Phoenix against Seattle. This one is fascinating because Seattle has suddenly flipped the script. They dropped a long losing streak, then turned around and beat two strong teams in a row by double digits. That's impressive, no question. But it also creates a classic letdown spot. Big emotional wins can change the market perception fast, and sometimes that's when a team becomes vulnerable in the next game. Phoenix brings the more veteran profile into this matchup. They've already beaten Seattle twice this season, including a big blowout, and that matters because it shows they know how to handle this style of opponent. Phoenix plays a physical, grinding brand of basketball, especially inside, and that can be a problem for a young Seattle frontcourt trying to keep its recent momentum alive. That's the key here. Seattle has the energy and the confidence right now, but Phoenix has the style that can slow them down and make the game uncomfortable. If this turns into a physical, half-court battle, that leans toward Phoenix's strengths. They can make the game messy, force the other side into more contact, and keep it from becoming a clean run-and-gun type of contest. That said, I do not love laying the points with Phoenix. The consistency issues are still there, and that makes the side a little harder to trust fully. So I'd rather stay lighter there. The total also leans a bit under for me because Phoenix's style naturally bogs games down. If they control the pace and make this more physical, it should reduce the number of clean possessions on both ends. So the lean here is Phoenix, but not strongly enough for me to love the spread. The better angle may be the under, though even that is more of a lean than a full force play. What stands out across this slate is that each game is really being shaped by identity. Atlanta wants pressure, pace, and turnovers. Dallas wants discipline and control. Phoenix wants physicality and half-court execution. Seattle wants to keep the momentum going and prove the recent wins were real. That is what makes this board interesting. It is not just about who has the better record. It is about which team can force the game into the type of environment it wants. Atlanta is the best example of that because their transition game and turnover pressure line up perfectly against Washington's weaknesses. Dallas has the same kind of edge because their discipline takes away Connecticut's best path. Phoenix and Seattle is the more delicate matchup, but the veteran style still gives the Mercury a clear argument. So when you build the card, you want to match the style to the spot. That is where the value lives in a slate like this. Teams with clearer structure and more reliable matchup control usually end up being the better plays, especially when the market is reacting too much to short-term results. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It really helps the channel grow, and it makes a huge difference in helping me keep these daily picks and breakdowns coming for you. I appreciate every bit of support, and it means a lot to keep building this with you all. I'll be back with more picks, more breakdowns, and more value in the next one, so make sure you stay tuned. Catch you in the next video.